Hello and welcome to Book Chat with the Illustrator. I'm Victoria Stapleton from Little Brown Books for Young Readers. This is truly a treasure of an episode for me, as I get to speak with lauded illustrator S.D. Nelson to discuss his new book, Wings of an Eagle, The Gold Medal Dreams of Billy Mills, written by Billy Mills and Donna Janell Bowman. It's an inspiring autobiography that has received starred reviews from Publishers Weekly and Shelf Awareness, who called out the exquisite images in the book. Welcome, SD.
Well, it's great to be with you. I'm really looking forward to this.
I'm very happy to be with you too, because in addition to all the many books and creative endeavors you've worked on, you are also on the board of readathome.org, which focuses on funding to provide material and training support to early childhood programs in schools that serve U.S. Indigenous children ages 2 to 6. You have chosen to focus on a very particular spread today. It reads, "It's not easy to think of others after my mother dies. My 9-year-old feelings splinter like a nest in a storm. My father draws a circle in the dirt. You have broken wings, son, he says. Step inside the circle. I do as I am told." Well, welcome officially to Book Chat with the Illustrator, SD. As we look at this wonderful spread, what were you trying to achieve here as a visual storyteller?
I wanted to draw the reader into this drama, and the core of the drama is that Billy, as a young boy, is in grief. He's suffered a great loss. His mother has died. His father is consoling him. And Billy Mills is a Lakota boy, lives on the Pine Ridge Reservation. The way I've portrayed it in my illustration is a ring of circles, like when you throw a stone into a pool of water, it circles outward. And in the background, I've created spirals, and his father is holding 2 eagle feathers in his hand and actually is blessing the boy and offering him hope. I've always been fascinated, especially since my university days, with how I can create the illusion of 3-dimensional space, of perspective, and yet at the same time continue to work on this flat surface. So in this painting, I've incorporated pictographic images of spirals, of some geometric forms, and of birds that are flat, and yet at the same time, they draw the viewer into a 3-dimensional space that conveys, I think, a sense of time. The father has his hand on the boy's shoulder, and they are connected not only with each other physically, but the ethereal connection is expressed, I hope, in this illustration that we have with those that came before and those that will come in the future. A few years ago, I was in an airport terminal getting ready to fly out. There was a family seated across from me in the terminal, and a little girl was having a moment between her and her father. She had her hand up over her face, and that seemed to capture this feeling of sadness, of sorrow, of loss, and maybe a state of grief where a person is in denial, in trying to come to accept a situation. That, I have to tell you, was the inspiration for the feeling I'm trying to communicate here with young Billy Mills.
This leads me to the question of how did you physically create this piece? What is the medium that you used for it?
I work with acrylic paint, and I like to work on masonite, which is a particle board. The size of the original piece for this painting is probably about 28 inches wide and 14 inches high. And if I could, I would work even larger. I really enjoy the physicality of stretching my arms and moving things around. But of course, I had to first do drawings, and I made several thumbnail sketches, which are small drawings. And when the editor and the design team liked the drawing that I liked and presented to them, we went ahead with this particular design. So I draw it all out with pencil on the masonite, and then I start to lay down layers of color. And it gets more complicated after that. Like regular artists, I work with brushes. I also use paint rollers like you use on a wall to spread out paint. But one of my favorite tools is just a kitchen sponge. I cut them into little shapes. I will dab them into paint. And if you look closely at the spiral behind the two human figures, I think you'll start to see some of that sponging texture. Well, I also lay down paint in washes, and then sometimes I'll even splatter paint. And if you look down towards the legs of these figures, you will see little polka dots, little splatterings of paint. If I want to remove paint, I'll use sandpaper and remove areas of paint. I will use a hair dryer to speed up the drying of paint.
Going through these media, I'm reminded again of time and trajectory and different emotional states as you read this book and responding differently to different layers of the art. And you have opened my eyes into a spread that I've been staring at for quite some time and thinking I understood. And I'm going to spend another few hours poring over every single detail.
Well, thank you so much.
Gentle listeners out there in the virtual universe, Wings of an Eagle, The Gold Medal Dreams of Billy Mills. Written by Billy Mills with Donna Janell Bowman and illustrated most expertly and sublimely by one very fine gentleman named S.D. Nelson, should be on your bedside table and in your classrooms now. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.